So basically, after COVID, basically we enjoy about 1 to 1.5% for about 24 months. But even after we have higher interest rates now at about 2.75 to about 3%, the volume of transactions for residential properties, landed, non-landed, is still overperforming pre-COVID season. So I would say that Singapore has reached a stage of stabilization because most people buy homes to stay and they have to minimally hold for 3 years. So this is just to show the stabilization of the Singapore market. So let's have a look at the overall landed for freehold and triple 9 years. Now, averagely, we're doing at about 1,910 PSF. You will see that this year, in terms of the number of transactions, it should be the same as last year. Now, one of the reasons why you see this dip was because there was a lot of hype during 2021, and landed prices back then was at a much lower quantum. I give you an example, like 2021, 2.8 million, you can still buy a freehold inter-terrace D19, D28. Now you cannot find anything, minimum is about 4 million, all right? So, because of this, a lot of the low quantum units were being absorbed very rapidly because the price was still too close to the condo prices. Now, because now our prices has reached a new level, the quantum, in terms of the number of transactions, it has dipped, but at the same time, we also have higher interest rates over here. All right, so this year we should end about the same as last year. And this is basically the detached price growth. In terms of the current pricing is about 1,780 across the entire island. Semi-D, also about 1,008. Inter-terrace about 1,009, closing into 2,000 because of its lower quantum. Now, I like to look at in terms of movement based on, I would say, product category. It is important to know it because when certain price gaps becomes too close, you get new audiences in the landed market. So for example, if let's say the new launch market pricing goes up to a new quantum level, or resale freehold condos go up to a new quantum level, you get a spillover effect of these audiences into the next category. The reason is because people like to shift their capital into the hardest asset. So hardest asset means that if I buy a landed which the supply is fixed and more people buy it, the only way for it is that the price will move upwards because there's no new supply to cool down the demand. So basically, if you have noticed, especially if you are a current landed property owner, sometimes like you open your eyes 5 years later and you call your banker, your valuation just increased like by twice or at least by 50%, right? So the two main drivers in Singapore will be new condos and pure landed properties in terms of pricing. Why do I call it the apex property? Is because it is the most inelastic. That means the supply is fixed, but the demand is growing, right? This has a so-called like a little bit of an unhealthy system in the sense that whatever price that developers launch, the bank will match. So you will notice that when you walk into the show flat, when the developer wants to sell 3,000, you can still get 75% loan based on 3,000 PSF. The developer wants to sell 3,500, you can also get 75% loan. So this is because they have a strong support from bank. That's why they call the shots when it comes to benchmark pricing. Now, once we understand this too, what will happen is that when we look at them from a level of PSF level, this has been a movement since 2020. So let's have a look. If you want to take photos, also can, right? Later on, of course, the slides are with my consultants. They can share with you as well some of the key things you want to know. Now, this has been the situation in 2020. Everything is still pretty flat. We're still looking at launches at about 1,008. And we like to look at the different categories of resale condos versus newly TOP'd condos, means they just collected keys from developers, and brand new launches, plus strata landed, as well as pure landed.